A stunning DNA test has just turned the Brown family's world around, and one man's life is set to come crashing down. Years of secrets, lies, and betrayals are finally unraveling. But which one will make it through the fallout? Stick with me, because what comes next is going to blow you away, and you'll want to listen to every twist in this firework courtroom drama. Can Kody survive this bombshell? The courtroom is quiet, thick with tension. Kody Brown sits at the defense table, hands tightly clasped, jaw locked. Calendar across the room, Mary, Christine, Janelle, and Robyn observe every movement, eyes aching, unblinking, a combination of anger, fear, and incredulity. The air has a faint scent of polished wood and apprehension, the sun streaming through the blinds, drawing dramatic lines on the floor. Everyone realizes today might change everything. The judge clears his throat, and the courtroom becomes even more silent. A pile of papers rests forebodingly on the prosecutor's desk, the results of the DNA test. They all hunch forward, hearts racing. Robyn fidgets uncomfortably, looking at Kody, her hands shaking ever so slightly. The air is thick with tension. Kody's mind is spinning. How did it end up like this? For years, he believed he held the reins of the family story, the secrets, the lies, but now the cold, hard truth is ready to emerge. The first witness is summoned. ARCAIC, a lab technician, clutching the DNA report like a loaded gun. The voice of the technician is steady but authoritative. These are the findings, she tells us, leaving the documents on the stand. One of the children who was tested is not biologically related to Kody Brown. A roomful of gasps erupts. The wives look at each other, some in shock, some in validation. Kody's colorless face goes white. His hand clenches around the table edge. And, just like that, everything that Kody believed was safe starts to fall apart. But this is merely the beginning. There are whispers circulating in the courtroom. Cameras flash. The family that looked like they would never be separated is on the brink of destruction. The test results sit there like a ticking time bomb, ready to explode. The courtroom feels like a pressure cooker. Every eye is fixed on Kody as the second witness is called. Christine. She rises slowly, her hands shaking slightly, but her gaze is sharp, unwavering. I've held back for too long, she says, voice tight with emotion. The truth must come out. Knack. She retrieves a folder from the side and pushes it across the table. Papers fly under the bright courtroom lights, emails, messages, and hidden notes, exposing Kody's efforts to conceal the DNA results. The room is breathless. Mary presses her lip. Janelle shuts her eyes for a second, and Robyn's grip on her chair becomes even stronger. Christine goes on, describing midnight sessions, hushed telephone conversations, and the never-ending covers. Each disclosure hits like a sledgehammer, reverberating off the quiet room. Kody fidgets in his seat, a burst of alarm flashing across his features. The judge leans forward, brow furrowed, sensing the emotional charge. The prosecutor intervenes, holding up one last piece of paper, a DNA analysis that contradicts Kody's repeated assertion. This evidence will not be dismissed, they state firmly. It establishes deception, secrets, and betrayal. The room bursts into whispers. Cameras click away, capturing every gasp, every sob, every scowl. Each new discovery of evidence, Kody's painstakingly constructed universe crumbles, and the wives are set to spill it all. Robyn draws a deep breath, rising to her feet slowly. Her gaze clashes with Kody's pain and determination. You can't escape any longer, she whispers, though they all hear it. The air is thick with tension. The payoff to this storm of emotion is mere moments away, and the audience can sense every pulse in the room. The courtroom doors swing open, and a silence descends on the room. A witness not previously mentioned enters, the lab supervisor who performed the DNA analysis. Her very appearance brings a ripple of tension into the audience and the Brown family. Everyone recognizes this testimony could turn everything around. I read the DNA results myself, she starts, her voice measured but unyielding, and there is something the first report failed to show. She leans forward slightly, the silence building. Kody's face goes taut, his knuckles bleaching against the table. The wives look at each other uncertainly, their hearts racing in expectation. She lifts a sealed envelope. This contains a second independent test. It confirms that one child is not biologically Kody's. The courtroom gasps in unison. Cameras flash. Murmurs swell into audible whispers. Robyn's hands tremble, Christine's jaw tightens, and Mary's eyes glisten with tears. The prosecutor leans forward. Mr. Brown, did you know about this? Kody's mouth opens, then closes. Yick, Lyle, silence. The room feels heavy, suffocating with the weight of secrets long buried. The revelation shakes the very foundation of the Brown family. And just when Kody thinks it can't get worse, another bombshell is dropped. From behind, a pile of emails is displayed, demonstrating Kody's efforts at manipulating the truth, stalling testing, and hiding information from the wives. Shock and disbelief spread throughout the room. The judge cants forward, his eyes narrowing. All family members are paralyzed, caught between loyalty, deception, and the suffocating nature of the truth. It's too much tension. The audience is feeling it. This is the climax. The point where decades of secrets, lies, and secret DNA, at last, come crashing together. And yet still, things may get even worse. The courtroom feels charged, almost electric. Kody sits frozen, staring at the papers scattered before him, his mind racing. Robyn's gaze is icy, but behind it lies pain and betrayal. Christine's hands shake slightly as she clutches her notes, and Mary's eyes glimmer with both anger and relief. Every heartbeat seems amplified, echoing off the polished wood floors. The judge urges restraint, but the atmosphere is tense. We will continue, says the judge. The second witness, a family friend who has witnessed the Browns' private turmoil firsthand, takes the stand. Their testimony uncovers late-night fights, secret phone messages, and surreptitious conversations that Kody had with some family members, trying to manage what the wives heard about the DNA results. Each new revelation rings like a thunderclap in the silent courtroom. Kody fidgets in his seat, white and dripping with sweat. I was trying to help them, he whimpers, but no one believes him. The wives glance at each other knowingly. Years of domination and deception have long been calling into question. With every stunning admission, Kody's kingdom of lies comes tumbling down, and the wives are finally speaking out. Robyn stands firm, her voice shaking but unyielding. We trusted you, and you lied to us for decades, she declares, her words biting. Christine chimes in. This isn't just about DNA. It's about betrayal, manipulation, and lies that have lasted decades. The courtroom is filled with emotion, and the camera holds a moment on Kody's expression, shock, terror, and the slow awareness that he might have lost control forever. When the session concludes, rumors circulate throughout the room, cameras click, and the crowd is overwhelmed with the realization of a family on the precipice of disintegration. But there remains one last, concealed piece of evidence that is waiting to be revealed, and it will alter everything once more. The courtroom falls into a tense silence. The hurricane of secrets has blown itself out, but the hangover is thick, almost choking. Kody sits and is still, his eyes fixed on the table, his head reeling with the magnitude of what's been uncovered. The DNA tests, the secret emails, the witnesses, it's all a tidal wave that crashes over him. Meanwhile, the wives exchange whispered conversations. Mary's voice is soft, yet tinged with determination. We can't let him manipulate us anymore, she murmurs to Christine. Christine nods, her hands fidgeting with a pen. Robyn's eyes glisten, a mixture of grief and resolve. Even Janelle, usually calm and composed, is visibly shaken. The emotional weight is almost too much to bear. Yet, each of them feels a sense of empowerment, a small victory amid chaos. The judge pauses to scan the courtroom. We will recess briefly, he declares. The room slowly drains as tension still hangs in the air like a storm cloud. Kody moves aside, grumbling to himself, but the wives stand firm. Each of them understands that when the court resumes, the endgames will be more than about DNA. They'll be about trust, control, and the family's future. Even in the lull between storms, the Brown family knows the worst is yet to come. and no one will leave untouched. In the corridors outside the courtroom, behind the scenes whispers of speculation ring out. Reporters, family friends, and curious onlookers struggle to fit the pieces together. The living wives pause for a moment, exchanging hushed words and supporting each other, aware that the next hearing will test them to their limit. Emotionally, as the camera focuses on Kody's tense face and Robyn's resolute stare, it's evident this tale is only just beginning, and when the courtroom doors swing open again, everything will be different. The courtroom is heavy, with expectation, as all return from recess. Kody sits stiff, his eyes scanning frantically around the room, while the wives take their seat, a steadfast resolve in their faces. The atmosphere seems oppressive, as if each breath contains unspoken truth. The prosecutor calls the next witness, a close family associate, who has maintained diaries documenting private conversations over the years. Yalla! I've recorded exchanges where Kody discussed hiding critical information from the wives. The witness says, voice steady. This isn't just deception, it's a pattern of manipulation. Kody sits back, attempting to cover up the strain spreading over his features. Robyn's fingers grip together in her lap. Mary leans forward a little, and Christine's eyes blaze with subdued rage. Every new discovery strips back another layer of Kody's carefully built disguise. The courtroom lies in stunned silence, punctuated only by the occasional paper rustle and the muted sniffing of the tearfully overcome. Each secret Kody has attempted to hide is now rising to the surface, and the family inches closer to a breaking point that would alter everything. As the testimony goes on, the witness pulls out a secret series of messages, emails, and texts that show Kody attempting to stall DNA testing, playing with information, and dictating the narrative. The air gets tighter. Kody turns pale. The wives look at each other, their feelings raw, hurt, betrayal, and resolve forming a silent agreement. The judge leans forward, voice firm but controlled. It seems we have a tangled skein of deceit, he says. Cameras record each nuance of Kody's response, his efforts at composure buckling under the pressure of irrefutable proof. The room seems to be holding its breath for the confrontation that will at last set everything to rights. Galia, the courtroom is charged, each heartbeat resonating like a drum. Kody sits at its center, pale and rigid, his fingers digging into the edge of the table. In front of him, the wives, Mary, Christine, Janelle, and Robyn, sit with unshakable intent, their eyes fixed on every gesture. This is the moment they've all been waiting for, and everyone understands the stakes couldn't be greater. The prosecutor stands up, waving the DNA report in the air. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is evident, they declare, voice-cutting and measured. One child is not biologically related to Kody Brown, and these records indicate efforts to hide this fact. A collective gasp rises from the room. Cameras flash, capturing every reaction. Kody's face drains of color, his jaw tightens. Robyn's eyes glisten with a mix of anger and grief. Christine's lips press into a thin line, and Mary's hands tremble as she clutches her notes. Each wife's emotion is raw, exposed, undeniable. In this room, secrets meet truth, and the burden of deceit is finally laid upon Kody's world. The judge leans forward, voice firm but steady. Mr. Brown, how do you respond to this evidence? Kody swallows, tries to answer, but the silence in the room silences his words. The prosecutor summons the last witness, an insider, with still more bombshell revelations about secret messages and private confessions. Every revelation falls like a hammer blow, emphasizing the repercussions of decades of silence. Whispers sweep the courtroom. The wives share resolute stares, their bond unbreakable. Kody's empire of domination, so carefully built over decades, now hangs precariously in the balance. All eyes are on him, all hearts beating in the same rhythm as the tension within the room. This showdown isn't about DNA, it's about trust, deception, and the irreversible disintegration of a family. The courtroom is thick with stillness as the last of the evidence is revealed. Kody leans back in his chair, spent, his pale face drawn. The wives, Robyn, Christine, Mary, and Janelle, occupy a row across from him, a stoic strength emanating from them. The tension that has held the room for hours begins to abate to an uneasy stillness, but the weight of emotion lingers. The judge is about to clear his throat. "We will consider these findings," he states, his voice level. "The court will make its final decision shortly." All the family members internalize the weight of the moment. The DNA findings, the secret emails, the admissions, they have all culminated at this juncture. After all these years of secrets, lies, and hidden truths, the Brown family has to confront the truth that nothing will ever be the same. In the hallway outside the courtroom, the families whisper among themselves. Robyn puts a reassuring touch on Kody's shoulder, her eyes resolute, but a quiet reminder of responsibility. Christine shares a look with Mary and Janelle, a combination of relief and grief passing between them. The trust relationships have been stretched, some broken, others reaffirmed. As the scene recedes, the camera pauses on the wives' faces, each of them showing resilience, anguish, and newfound lucidity. Kody remains still, his universe irreparably changed. The courtroom doors shut behind them, leaving spectators with the haunting query, can this family ever really heal from decades of deception and betrayal? What would you do if you were standing in their shoes? Could trust ever be reestablished after a discovery like this one? Let us know your opinion on the Brown family situation in the comments below. The story concludes here, but its effects remain: a narrative of secrets revealed, feelings unveiled, and a family forever altered.